Okay, so for the last of these data structure investigation videos, we're going to talk about data frames. A data frame is a powerful and flexible structure. Most serious R applications involve data frames. A data frame is intended to mimic a data set, like a spreadsheet, such as one you might encounter in SAS or SPSS, or even Excel, like one sheet. A data frame is a tabular or rectangular data structure, which means that it has rows and columns, but it's not implemented by a matrix. Rather, a data frame is a list, but it's a special kind of list. Not any list is a data frame. The elements of the list are vectors and or factors. These vectors and factors of the columns are the columns of the data frame. The vectors and factors must all have the same length. In other words, all columns must have the same height. The equal height columns give a rectangular shape to the data frame, and the columns must have names. And a data frame, because a data frame is both a list and a rectangular structure, so it's both list and a rectangular structure, R provides two different paradigms for accessing its contents. So two different ways. Because you can think of it as a list or you can think of it as a rectangular structure, there are two different ways to access the contents of the data frame. You can use list operators to extract columns from a data frame, such as this. Remember, we extracted columns this way from a data frame, and this and this. Or you can use matrix-like notation, such as this, and this, to access the data frame. Okay, let's go back to, we had a data frame somewhere along the line called cars, which comes with R. So when you have R, you have this data frame. So if you just want to type it out and see what it looks like, you can do that, or you can type head to see just the first 6 rows of it. Oh, cars. Okay, so it's got this, and 6 rows here. Actually, it has many rows. So let's try using some of these methods to access parts of the data frame. Let's try it's cars, 1 bracket, and let's try 2 or 1. Okay, so it gives us all of the speed. Okay, and let's try this. And now it gives us all of the same thing, but as a vector. Okay, so one of them gives us a, let's see. So let's try the structure of this way versus the structure of this way. So when I did the structure the first time, up here, I got a data frame. But when I did the structure this way, I got a vector. Okay, so we're getting the same contents, but they're returned in a different format. That may be a little bit hard to remember. And this will also give us the same elements, and it gives it to us in the form, apparently, of a vector. On the other hand, it seems like we can also access the data by treating it as a matrix, and that's this notation here. And that's also returns a vector. So once again, because a data frame is both a list and a rectangular structure, R provides two different paradigms for accessing its contents. You can use list operators to extract columns from a data frame, such as this one. This one's going to give us which again? It's going to give us a data frame again, I think. and this one's going to give us a vector, and this one I think is going to give us a vector, and this one is going to give us just an element, and this one's going to give us a vector, and this one's going to give us a vector. So how you think of a data frame may depend on your background. Do you have training as a statistician, as an SQL programmer, as an Excel user, and so on? So depending on who you are, you might say, oh, this is one of these, or this is one of those. So for example, to a statistician, a data frame is a table of observations. So maybe as a listener you might not have any of this experience, but let's go through it anyway. As a statistician, a data frame is a table of observations. Each row contains one observation. Each observation must contain the same variables. These variables are called columns, and you refer to them by name. You can also refer to the contents by row number and column number, just as with a matrix. So you can refer to them by name. You can also refer to them by column number and row number. To an SQL programmer, a data frame is a table. A table resides entirely in memory, but you can save it to a flat file and restore it later. You needn't declare the column types because R figures that out for you. To an Excel user, a data frame is like a worksheet, or perhaps a range within a worksheet. It is more restrictive, however, in that each column has a type. To an SAS user, a SAS user, a data frame is like a SAS dataset for which all the data resides in memory. R can read and write the data frame to disk, but the data frame must be in memory while R is processing it. So they keep saying this, R has to have it in memory. That's a kind of problem for R, because if you want really big data sets, you can't do that because memory is limited. But there are ways to get around that, but you have to sort of do things like put part of it in memory and then process it and then another part and so on. To an R programmer, a data frame is a hybrid structure. To an R programmer, a data frame is a hybrid structure, part matrix and part list. So we just finished saying that it can be treated you can access it through both ways. A column can contain numbers, character strings, or factors, but not a mix of them. So remember that. Okay? You can index the data frame just like you index a matrix. The data frame is also a list, where the list elements are the columns. So you can access columns by using list operators. To a computer scientist, a data frame is a rectangular data structure. The columns are strongly typed. It means you can only have one type. And each column must be in numeric values, character strings, or a factor. Columns must have labels. Rows may have labels. The table can be indexed by position, column name, and or row name. It can also be accessed by list operators, in which case R treats the data frame as a list whose elements are the columns of the data frame. To an executive, you can put names and numbers into a data frame. It's easy. A data frame is a little like a database. Your staff will enjoy using data frames.